Hi guys, it's me Arden Lee. I am back with another video today, and in today's video I want to talk a little bit about the subject of anger, right? Anger is it's not the most pleasant of emotions. It's not the most pleasant of experiences, and I've had a couple different questions come up from different people lately who are asking, what about anger? What do I do with anger? How do I allow myself to feel anger in a healthy way? And what can I learn from anger? What is anger there to teach me? Um, that's uh, that's a really necessary conversation, I believe. So I wanted to spend this video talking about how it happens that we can so often disconnect ourselves from anger, how we can start to repress it and feel that it's dangerous for us to even engage with it, and how we can get that back in a healthy way and start to learn what it's good for. So that is going to be the goal of today's video. So before I get into that topic, as always, if you have not yet done so, I would love to invite you to subscribe to my channel and or like my page, depending on where you are watching this video. And of course, if you're not yet familiar with me and my work, my name is Arden Lee, and I am the creator of the Repatterning Project, which is an 8-week course where we hack our beliefs, we examine our patterns, we bring conscious awareness to where we are placing our focus so that we can change our internal patterns in order to optimize our paths forward to our success, our happiness, all the goals that we want for ourselves. So we're going to be working on all of that when we work on that course. So go ahead and look at the description box where I have left you a link to a free PDF guide about how we do that, how we engage with this work. I would love for you to learn more about it. And I also have a link there to the Repatterning Parlor, which is the free group that I moderate on Facebook. And I would love for you to join us there because, as you know, having support around you from like-minded individuals is crucial to your path forward. We would love to be that source of support for you. We'd love to invite you to start engaging in this work on a deeper level. So come and join us, say hi, and see what it is all about. All right, so we're going to talk today in this video about anger. Oh man, you guys. So I want to start first of all with the reasons that anger so often gets split off and repressed from our experience. When we are children, anger is one of the emotions that we are so rarely allowed. Now, we can be sad sometimes, depending on our individual upbringings. Of course, everyone's is going to be different, but we can often be sad and expect to be comforted. We're certainly allowed to, to be pleasant, to be obedient, right? That's like, no matter where we are, our parents in many ways, whoever they are, they're training us to be convenient to their expectations of us. Sometimes that means being happy. Sometimes our happiness gets repressed too because we may be expressing too much. We're too loud. We're too joyful. We're too, there's too much energy there. We may be told to tone it down. But one thing that generally, almost universally across the board, especially with people who are adults today, who are children growing up, maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago, is that anger is often the least permitted emotion when we're a child. We're not allowed to get angry. Only our parents are the ones who are allowed to get angry with us. And if we dare get angry back at our situation, we're punished for that, or told to be quiet, or that we don't know what we're talking about, or whatever. When's the last time you saw a child get really angry and that anger was really honored? Maybe in, more evolved conscious parenting that happens, but for most of us who just grew up with kind of normal lives, that anger was considered dangerous. It was considered unacceptable to our caregivers. So what happens when something is considered unacceptable to the people who are literally in charge of our survival when we're growing up? Well, we start to think, oh, that's dangerous. I'm not allowed to feel that way. If I feel that way, then I risk my relationship, my love relationship with the person who is feeding me, who is giving me a home, a place to stay, etc., etc. I grew up with a feeling that anger was dangerous because I had one parent with severe anger management issues. And so my experience of anger was that it was a danger to the people who were around it. Any understanding of righteous anger, of anger being a motivating force, was split off from my experience, or was just something that I wasn't exposed to at that time. So my entire relationship with anger growing up was that anger was unsafe, it was unproductive, it was an unhealthy emotion. It was one that I was not allowed to experience or express myself, and it was one that when I saw the adults around me engaging in it and expressing me, that it always led to unhealthy circumstances, meltdowns, abuse, tantrums, explosions, deeply unsafe situations to me as a child. So many of us grow up with similar relationships to anger because it is so rarely something that we are allowed to experience and express as children. And as we know from learned helplessness, and if you're not yet familiar with learned helplessness, go look on my channel. There is a video about learned helplessness on this channel. Just type it in, Ardently Learn Helplessness, and you will find it. Because of the fact that those patterns get set, and then even as adults, even when we have all the creative freedom, all the sovereignty and the ability, the capacity to experience and express anger in a healthy way, we don't always realize that we do because we're so used to being in our patterns and conditioning from childhood. So what do we do with anger? What do we do when we realize that we have fallen into this habit where we're not allowing ourselves to experience or express anger? And how do we change our relationship to it? Well, I want to give you a new paradigm for what anger is useful for. Anger comes up in response to a situation that our bodies feel is wrong or unjust. I'm going to say that again. Anger comes up as a response to something that our bodies feel is wrong or unjust. When there is a situation that does not match our ideal reality, we can get angry. This happens, all the time in politics, right? When we say even the word righteous anger, we often think of politics. We often think of social justice. But it can be any circumstance in our lives where the reality is not matching up to our expectations. It could be that someone cut in line in front of us in a Starbucks and we're angry because that's not fair, because our expectation is that the line should progress in the order in which it was formed. And the reality is that someone is moving ahead in the line who didn't do their due diligence, waiting for their turn, right? So it can really be about anything. But our anger shows us where expectation is not meeting reality. And let me explain to you, let me share with you why that is a gift. When we realize that we are experiencing anger, we can then sit with it and say, where is reality not meeting my expectation? Where do I have something that I want for myself that is not showing up in the way that I would like it to be? What is that thing that I really do want? I experienced a bout of anger that was really out of nowhere about a month ago, and I sat with it. It was extremely unpleasant, and I was like, where is this coming from? I haven't even left my house today. What's going on that I feel this way? And I realized it was because my expectation of how I was being treated in the world was not lining up with what I wanted. My expectation, what I wanted, was not lining up with the reality of the situation. And it's difficult, can be difficult, when we are experiencing anger, to bring that presence of mind to our emotional state and sit with it and parse it out. Because so many times when we're in that state of anger, we are just reactive. We'll lash out at this and lash out at that, right? And we won't even sometimes realize what the real issue is that is upsetting us. Sometimes we can feel angry, and if we repress it so much, we'll just lash out at people around us. We'll just go on social media and act like jerks to everyone in the comment sections or whatever, just because we're venting or whatever, but it has nothing to do with the problem. So what we want to be able to do for ourselves is to recognize anger as that signpost, right? What anger is it's an arrow pointing to something we don't like. And if we turn that arrow around 180 degrees, we can find the thing that we do want to manifest. And then we can start looking for solutions. So something was coming up for me a month ago, and I said, I don't feel like I'm being appreciated, valued, or finding resources and connections in my life that are commensurate with my value. I don't feel that there is enough response to what I'm embodying, what I'm putting out there. And I'm angry about this. This anger is coming up for me out of nowhere. And what I discerned, I was like, well, what am I going to do about this? What I'm having trouble with is, the truth is, I'm leveling up. And my external reality is not yet matching what's going on for me internally. So I'm getting frustrated because I'm failing to find adequate peers or mentorship that's readily available for my level where I was often sourcing it before. So I'm looking around me and I'm like, I'm feeling this disdain, which is not a feeling I'm proud of. But I'm like, oof, I used to be able to come to these places and find what I needed, and I can't anymore. It would be like expecting a fourth grade class to be solving, algebra problems. So what do? How do I find that next level? Well, first of all, I set an intention, because we all know the power of intention setting is great. And I start leaning into the edges of my social circles that are pushing in those directions. I start maybe saying, hey, I'm going to start spending more time with this person and that person because I think they're closer to the thing that I want. And the more I can embody those qualities in myself to be able to attract people who are solving the same problems that I'm solving, then the quicker I will get to that place where that support is showing up for me. The truth is, sometimes there is just some lag time between our internal work and the external reality adapting and showing up for us that way. There is just a bit of a lag. That's natural, The better we get at this, the more instantaneously, quote unquote, we can start to manifest. But that lag time is real. That's a real force. And it's in service to us because anything that moves too fast is going to burn out. We want things to be sustainable. Things show up in divine timing for a reason. And sometimes the things that we're calling in are not ready for us yet. They're still doing their work too, just as we are. So, something that was really cool is that this past week, I saw this pay off. I had felt this anger, and I had been able to discern what I was lacking. Where is this coming from? What would make me happy? What if I took that signpost of that anger that's pointing toward the thing that I don't want, and I turned it 180 degrees and turned it toward what I do want? And it started showing up for me pretty magically, actually. Things were kind of rolling in that direction anyway, and then just poof, just started taking off. And I started making connections with people who were really willing to go deep and converse on levels that were exciting and inspiring to me, that even caused epiphanies in me for me to bring up newer and more interesting questions. Wow, how cool was that? It was really, really neat. And it was because I was able to sit with that anger that came up for me and listen to it and figure out where it was that I wanted things to go and be able to start moving in that direction. Now, you might be angry at the government And you might know what you want things to look like, and you might not be able to completely overthrow the government in the next couple weeks, obviously. So there's so much of righteous anger on an institutional level that does need to be conglomerated, that needs to be working as a mass force. That is why we have activism, right? That is why we have organizations and institutions that work for mass change. But I also want to give you permission while you're working on your activism and your advocacy, which is deeply important, something that is very close to my heart as well. But I want to give you permission to start really looking at your needs, what those things are, and how you can start to source those things without needing them from some higher authority or other power. That doesn't mean that we're just going to all solve poverty and racism with our minds, unfortunately. Although, where do we solve them if not by starting in our minds and the minds of the collective, right? Of course, they have to manifest into 3D reality as well. But I've made videos on this too. You know, you don't have to martyr yourself and wait for the world to change before you figure out ways to give yourself what you want. The economy, for example, is absolutely unfair. We live in times of vast economic inequality. I want to advocate for things like universal basic income. I want to advocate for a fairer playing field for everyone to be able to succeed. But that doesn't mean that I'm going to wait for that to happen before I say, hey, I want to make more money. So I want to draw that distinction for you, because mass change requires mass anger, mass turning that signpost around, turning that arrow 180 degrees on the level of the collective, of the superorganism, of the society that we live in, of the group, right? And that's important because we all play our part like cells in a body. But I also don't want to keep you from doing the work to change your own experience of reality and what you allow yourself at the current moment. And taking that goal that you have, that thing that you do want, that way that you do want reality to start showing up for you, and really personalizing it and making it about your needs, and figuring out what is between, how do you close the gap between that place and this place, and start to bring your focus there. Start to give yourself permission for what you need. And for me, it was, I'm going to lean into the edges of my social circles where I think I might be able to find these kinds of conversations and these kind of connections. And I did that. And I had a really cool breakthrough that I'm really excited about. It was really fun. And now I feel like I'm at a level where I feel pretty good about that. I feel pretty good about my ability not to slip back to where I was before. I feel like, no, I feel pretty solid now that I'm able to be in this energy that I wanted to call in for myself. So that's my goal for you too. If you're experiencing anger, I want you to be able to use it in that way. That means not repressing it. That means going into it, feeling it, and asking, how can I use this? What is this trying to tell me? So that's my wish for you. If you experience anger, I understand that it's unpleasant, but if you can really tune into it, you can use it to your advantage to start creating a better life for yourself. So thank you for listening. I will see you in the next video.